From the jab to the cross, the right hook to the uppercut. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jason Burns.
And I'm Danny Nucci, and this is the What About podcast. What about it?
This one's special for me because, as you know, as the listeners know, I've been on a bit of a boxing journey.
Unbelievable. You got supernatural, you got boxing, you got hypoallergenic dogs. I mean, this was like a home run.
This was a home run.
I just got to sit back and enjoy.
And what's right is I did not propose this topic. It just so happened that Aleks was a boxing fan.
A boxing fan?
A boxing fanatic.
It's his life. I can't separate Aleks from boxing at all. He might as well be a professional boxer.
It goes back to that same thing we always talk about, which is whenever we make the transition into the special topic, you see like these people light up. They are so excited because this is their passion, whatever it is we're talking about. And this was the case with Aleks.
Yeah, and he was so forthcoming. I jumped in a few times. I was like, you know what? Let this guy talk. He's got plenty to say. And he's entertaining. And I loved, his life lessons. He was able to I love when he was talking about the play. And he was talking, well, I'll let you guys listen to it. I'm not going to describe it before you listen to the goddamn thing. So without further ado, actor, boxer, entrepreneur, and all-around do-gooder, 6'5", 2-something, Aleks Paunovic.
We're just on video to look at each other and so that you can fog up Danny's glasses.
Exactly.
Bunch of pervs. Bunch of beautiful pervs.
What's going on, Aleks? Where are you at? Where are we talking to you from?
I'm in Vancouver. I'm at home. I'm hanging out with this guy.
Oh, look at him.
And hypoallergenic as well, right? Those are the
right on point.
Don't you have allergies, Jason? Are you allergic to dogs? Is that true?
I have 3 dogs, Aleks. I'm a big dog guy. I love animals so much I started working part-time at a vet just to be around them more.
So great.
And then I found out that I was the only things in the world I'm allergic to are dogs and cats.
Come on.
It's really cruel.
I had to get this guy because I am too. So and honestly, I have had no reactions to this cat at all. This dude's awesome.
Well, Aleks, thanks so much for being here, man. I wanted to start with, we want to talk a little bit about you before we get into our special topic, which is boxing, which I'm excited to talk about. But you grew up in Winnipeg. Your focus was boxing and music in your younger days. Both are performative. So was acting a natural transition?
Hold on, and I have an amendment.
Sure.
And how did you avoid hockey?
Yeah, no kidding. I wasn't a good skater, and it was funny because I was the biggest guy out there because I've always been a big dude. And the guys would want me on the team, but I could barely skate. So when there was a scrap about to happen or they needed an enforcer, they would just like shove me onto the ice, and my ankles are like this. I was like, I can't fight with I have no feet to stand up on, and so I kind of went, I don't like this. This is unfair. So I didn't really do a lot of hockey. I played a little bit, but not a lot. But 3 generations of boxers in my family, so that was it. That was my love.
So did it feel like when you were getting into acting? Because I know you sort of fell into it not by accident, but somebody found you, discovered you.
What do you mean somebody discovered him? Hold on. I want to know how he was discovered. These are always interesting to me.
Okay, so I was playing in my rock band, and, I was boxing a little bit here and there, but it was the band that really kind of, like, drove me. But I just loved boxing so much. And then...
were you singing, guitarist, do it all?
I was bass player and background vocals, and then a casting director saw me play, and then she had a few drinks, I had a few drinks. She was like, you should come and audition for this movie that's coming to town. And not a lot of movies were happening in Winnipeg at the time. And not only that, there was like only one stunt team, so that was the only team that was kind of working. So I went and auditioned, and I ended up getting it, which was cool. And then I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, they're actually feeding me here, not like, 6 guys in a van going into 7-Eleven.
1 jar of peanut butter for all of you.
Exactly. I was like, wait a second, you feed me here? I got to learn this job. And then after time, I met the stunt coordinator, who again is on like any movie that came to Winnipeg, and he goes, we don't have any big guys that can fight on the stunt team. So I learned that way. So while I was playing with my band, I would just go and like finish the last set at 2 a.m. if they were doing an overnight movie, and I would drive to set and then be a gopher and like get mats and learn everything. And then he would teach me some stunt fighting stuff, and then I would get stunt actor roles. And then it was that kind of decision when the band broke up of just going, I just want to see if this is for me, if this is something I can do. And I decided to move out of Winnipeg and go to Vancouver. And from Vancouver, I was going to go to LA, and then 9/11 happened, which kept me in Vancouver.
And then everything came to Vancouver, right? So many shows started shooting in Vancouver.
They'd been shooting in Vancouver. By 9/11, they'd been shooting plentiful for a decade plus.
Yeah, they were doing quite a bit, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth. And that's what I thought I was going to do for a few months before I went to LA. And then when 9/11 happened, I just stuck around, and I'm glad I did. I love Vancouver. I love the whole community here, so I'm having a blast. And I go to LA. I've lived in LA for a bit. I go back and forth.
You all do. All you Vancouver actors come to LA for a bit. Every single one of you. You come here for a bit and then you leave. And you go back to Vancouver, which by the way is not a bad move. Especially this time of year. Holy cow. Is there a better place in the world in August? I don't know that there is.
Dude, it's been stunning here. It's been great. I get my boys that I've met over the years through the business going, I'm coming up to Vancouver to shoot, and they just get super excited because they know how beautiful it is in the summer.
So Aleks, was the band Plan A? Like, was it original music and you planned to take it to, like, you know, as part of a career?
Yeah, the band was always Plan A, and it was my high school boys, and it was one of those things where we just after school just loved going to jam at my buddy Tony's house. And right next door was another guy that played in his band. So we would go back and forth when we were 15 years old to watch them play. They would watch us play, and just that energy. And then we just started touring before we even graduated. So we would be in band. When we were in town, we would have to, because we were all 15, 16, we would have to do our set, and then the bar would have to usher us upstairs to the hotel room that we all stayed in one room, because we weren't allowed in the bar. So the bar usually came to us in the hotel room and gave us kids some drinks and stuff, and then we'd go back down and play. And it was cool. And then we started, as we got older, we started touring Canada. And then it was one of those things where creative differences happen, and we just ended up it would be best to kind of like go our separate ways. And at that point, that's when I started getting into acting. But the cool thing is that I guess 2 years ago, we decided, you know, we're all still friends, but we decided to record again.
Oh, nice.
And so we recorded some stuff and put it on Spotify, and whenever we get a chance to jam when I go back home, we do, and they're the greatest dudes ever. And it's such a trip because, you know, now that you're older, and then I go rehearse with them, and I haven't played with them for a while, but that energy of the 15-year-old where I look to my left and my drummer when I was 15 is still there, but we're all 30 years later. It doesn't feel that way when you look to the left and you see the same dude, you know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the best part of getting together with old friends is that you still tell the same stories that you've been telling for 40 years.
And you still belly laugh like nobody's business. Yeah. Like I don't have the belly laughs the way I have belly laughs with these guys in my whole life. So yeah, that's exactly it.
So you move from the world of music into the world of acting. There's an energy to both, but there's a lot of waiting in acting, like a lot of waiting around. Did that take an adjustment for you? Are you still like playing the bass on set just to kill some time and stuff?
Well, that's the perfect question for right now, because for me, I'm when I was playing in my band, you gotta hustle.
Yeah.
Like every night I went, even when we weren't playing, I would be going out to the bars, watching other bands, talking to people watching the bands, telling them come to our show, getting as many people as I can to come to our show. And so I was hustling back then. So when the acting career started, that was my thing. It was just going to events, meeting people, getting connections. That kind of thing became innate to me. And there's a lot of actors that kind of like sit and wait for the audition. I like to go out and create moments. And if it's an indie, or if it's a student film, or if it's something that I want to create to gather people together and record and shoot something, like I did, I produced a few films earlier in my career. And then, you know, I did a thing recently called GenZeroes, with some great people. So, and then when you get the audition isn't the thing that matters anymore, that you're putting all the weight on. You're just going, okay, well, I'm really busy, but I'm going to concentrate on this. I'm going to put it on tape or go to the audition, and then I'm going to do something else, as opposed to, oh, okay, finally an audition. And now I'm putting all this nervous energy into it, and it doesn't really, result in the best way possible. So for me, I like getting things going. So, even right now, like launching my water company, Legend, like it's something that, I just need other things going on. But obviously my first love is acting and making films. But this is something that's just been, feeding me like to no end. It's been a great journey for sure.
Yeah, especially when, you don't want to be sitting around because, there's downtime, man. Being an actor has a lot of downtime. I mean, unless you're really fortunate and you're going from job to job to job to job. And yeah, waiting for that phone to ring is fucking death, isn't it? It's just fucking death.
Yeah. And that's why it's so awesome having boxing. I love boxing and, going to the gym, teaching kids at the gym that just happen to be there and just giving some advice. And
how did you maintain boxing? Because, I mean, obviously you got to stay sharp. You got to do, was that the way? Did you always train? Like when you worked out, that was what you did? You trained doing boxing stuff? Or did it come in and out of your life given that you had, other obligations, the band, acting, so on and so forth?
I mean, that was my workout. Like that to me, it wasn't about, going to the gym and lift weights. To me, it was boxing, getting the boxing training in there. It's like in my bones, 3 generations. I grew up with it with my dad. And so that was the thing that I felt great at and the most comfortable
Do you
at.
have brothers, did you say? You had brothers?
I have one brother, yeah.
Older, younger?
Older.
So did you take a beating between your dad and your brother? Did you learn how to take a punch?
Oh, yeah. Pretty much. We threw down quite a. My dad would go like give us boxing gloves and go get in the yard, let's go. But I was a little bit more coordinated than my brother, so I was technique wise I would like light my brother up, but he would get a little frustrated and land that one big one.
Sure.
And down I went with a body shot. And it'd be like, oh.
Is your brother and dad, are they as big as you?
Yeah, they're big dudes. Yeah.
For those that don't know, he's 6'5".
That's right.
Not that long ago, Danny and I spoke to Tony Danza, who really owes boxing his career because he was discovered for Taxi being a boxer. In a way, it sounds like boxing sort of helped you get your foot in the door because of the stunt side of things as well. Is that right?
That is bang on. And that's one dude I would love to meet because, yeah, he did come from a boxing background, and I think he was a phenomenal, hilarious actor.
Oh, man. He told us his story when he went into his first audition. He didn't have headshots, so he brought his poster because he had a fight coming up. And he brought his poster, and he slapped it down on the table, and he goes, this is who I am.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yeah. For me, it was... like it helped me in a way of just understanding the pressure situations. Because, with a fight, you can't go in nervous and you can't go in tight. You have to be relaxed. So you learn to be relaxed in pressure situations. And I discovered that, and like I remember going to like when I started taking acting seriously, I started to be nervous going to auditions. And then I realized, oh, wait a second, this is what it feels like before a fight. So I just shadow box a little bit, get the nerves out, chill. And that walk from the audition room to the audition inside with the directors and producers felt like the walk to the ring to me. And so boxing always helped me in that way. Like I did my first play, and I was shitting my pants, man. Like it was my first play. 300 people are out there.
What, in Vancouver or?
In Vancouver. So I started late. I didn't really take acting seriously till I was around 35. I didn't start booking anything till I was about 40.
Did you study? Did you decide, you know what, I'm gonna learn how to do this?
I definitely studied.
So you were like, you know what, I gotta figure out what the fuck this is?
Yeah, no, I definitely went and studied because I wanted to learn more about it. Just like with boxing, you just go training and you learn more. You're always picking up new things. So for me, it was new to me. So instead of taking going to an acting school that would put me in a program for 3 years, I just felt like because I was older, I want to get as much as I can from different people. So I'd do a bunch of workshops all over in New York, LA, Vancouver, and studied with Larry Moss, who really understood who I was as an actor. So I really got a great synergy and a great some great knowledge from him and confidence from him. So I would definitely, I still go to class just like with boxing. You still got to train. So I love that aspect of it, but boxing definitely helped me. Like before the play, I was so nervous. 300 people were out there. And I even had somebody in my ear go, I can't believe you're not even nervous, which made me nervous. I'm like,
right.
Why would you say that to me right before I'm going on? But then I realized that whole shadow boxing, and then when I would shadow box, I would with my scene partner, because it was only two of us for 90 minutes, and it was a really, really hard play. It should not have been my first play, but I got really lucky with some great people directing and working with, and I got nominated for that play also, which was great. But I couldn't have done it without boxing, because it really showed me how to settle in right before going out and not getting in my head.
At what point in your acting journey was that play, Aleks? How many projects had you done before doing that particular play?
Well, see, that's funny, because I had a handful of projects, but nothing enough to pay the rent. I would be teaching boxing to actors just to try to make rent. I wasn't making money at all. And then there was this interesting moment where I was in rehearsals for the play, and there was a part of me that was going, I really don't, like, this will either make or break me. I'm going to find out for myself if this is the career that I want to do, because to do a 90-minute play, it's not a minute and a half audition. You go in for these little pops, and when you do film, and at that time I was getting like thug number 2 and bouncer number 5 type thing, and so they were small little pops, and so I really didn't know if I could carry a show.
It's rough. Bouncer number 5, that's fucked. Not even bouncer 2.
No, not even 2, 5. And so in rehearsals, I get a call, because I would still be going out for auditions, but there was a big part of me that was also going, don't find out. Like, maybe you shouldn't find out, because then you have to reassess your whole life. But there was the other part of me goes, I need to do this to see if this is what I can do.
Same way, probably stepping in the ring for the first time, right? Like
absolutely,
it's different in the gym on the bag than it is in the ring.
Yeah, it's almost different sports, right? What you hit on the bag is so not what happens in the ring. So then I had this moment, and then my agent called me and basically said, so you got an offer for this show that will give you 20 out of 22 episodes. So I was going, that's huge bank. It was a network show. I was super lucky, but again, it was in a jail. So I would, because it's almost like a bottle series where a lot of things happen in one location. I would just be on set all the time. So it wasn't like I had a ton of dialogue. I was just around. I would have a few bits here and there, but nothing heavy. But then the play is 90 minutes of, like, I think it was 7 weeks of this play. And so I was like, do I go for the money because I need the money, or do I go and find out if this is really my journey? So I said no to the show and ended up doing the play. And I have to say, after I did that play and the confidence that I built doing that play and, being nominated for that play, I have not stopped working since I did that play. And I feel like it wasn't like the casting directors knew that I did that play. It was what I was coming in with a totally, like, the ceiling was, there was no ceiling anymore. It's like, I know I can do all these auditions like that if I can do what I just did in that play. So the energy brought it in, and that's what changed it.
What about boxing?
I'm going on a journey myself. It's just funny that you wanted to talk about this because, you got into acting late. I'm on the verge of turning 47, and I wanted to have a boxing match, so I started training. I'm going to let in my coach right now because I thought, who better to help us all have this conversation than my trainer. So, Salatith, Aleks Paunovic,
What's up, man?
Danny Nucci.
What's up, man?
We're all together.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
So Sayla has been helping me on my boxing journey, which started just a couple of months ago. I wanted to put together a fight and actually get out there and do a master's bout. So I wanted to talk with you, Aleks, just what boxing does for you beyond the physical. What does it do for you beyond your body? What does keeping at it mean to you at this stage in your life?
So it's so interesting for me. Boxing is a constant challenge. It mentally, and even when you're hitting the bag, when you're shadow boxing, your body is still in movement of offense and defense, and that's what I think life is. Life is all about offense and defense. Now, if you work in the world offensively like this type of a fighter, where anything can happen and you're not really thinking about what's going on, and if you're a defensive and you're just this and you're not really looking to counter, if you're doing that in life, then you're really not going anywhere. There's these little breaks in boxing where you can counter and where you can be defensive. I was just telling the story the other day, and back years ago in the amateur division, the white part of the glove was a scoring part. And after Roy Jones lost, when he shouldn't have lost at the Olympics, they changed the scoring system to 2 judges on one side of the ring, 1 judge here, 1 judge here, 1 judge here. So my team was like, there's a way we can manipulate the judges. Like, if I want to go on defense, I'll put my back against the 2 judges and his back will be against 1 judge, because 3 judges out of the 5 judges have to score a point within 1 second. They have to press that button. So if my back is against 2 and his back is against 1,
that's so clever.
I know the chances of 3 judges seeing that his shot landing are going to be very low. When I want to go offensive, I'll try to move my way so that 3 judges can see me being offensive. It's the same thing in life. It's just finding your moments and the manipulation of moments of being offensive and defensive, but you got to use your brain. You got to be smart about it. So in my acting world, and who I talk to, how I audition, where do I just sit and listen to a director that's kind of berating me on a scene, and it's not going to serve me to berate right back. I'm just going to take that information and go, okay, I'm still going to do it my way, but I'll give you a little bit of yours, as opposed to confrontation right away. So boxing has taught me you don't need confrontation right away. The guys that do the confrontation right away are the guys that don't know how to fight. The guys that do know how to fight is the quiet guy in the corner that goes, look, man, I don't want any problem. But he's also seeing all the moments around him of how to protect himself. So that's what boxing's taught me. And it also taught me a really, like, the confidence of, like, I'll tell you a quick little story. I remember 2:00 in the morning, I was walking down the street after a night out, and there was this girl about a middle of the block in the next street crying on a curb. And I wanted to see if she was okay. And then the guy turns the corner and he's walking very aggressive to me.
Which, by the way, is no joke, given you're walking aggressively towards a 6'5" dude.
Right. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I know how to protect myself, in a street fight. So I have confidence going towards this situation. Mm-hmm. And I ask her if she's okay. And he says, what, are you screwing him too? So I'm going, okay, now I immediately know there's a relationship there that is not going well. And she's crying, and I say to her, are you okay? Like, if you're okay, I'll leave. If not, I'll stay. And he gets closer. I go, don't come any closer, man. Like, you don't need to come any closer. And as he came closer, all it was a quick little jab just to the nose, fast and like light. And I just said, that was just a jab. Stay there, man. I don't want to do anything, which stopped him in his tracks. And she said, "You get away! Don't hit my boyfriend! Get away!" And I was like, "Great, perfect, done. Now I know the situation."
Yep, now yeah.
But if I didn't know how to protect myself, and I saw this guy walking aggressively to me, I would just be backed off. But then I would never know what happened to that girl. Mm-hmm. So to me, boxing has shown me the smart ideas of situations. Don't come too close. I'm not being aggressive. I want to make sure everything's okay. And that's the kind of thing boxing does. I feel, for me, that's how it's kind of shown up in my life.
And so what's your earliest boxing memory, Alex? Because I know you said your dad was a boxer. Was he your trainer? Was he your coach?
Well, see, my dad and I didn't really get along that well. And it's interesting. So I love the sport so much, and he taught me like everything, but we never got along. It was always butting heads. And I realized, a few years ago, I was like, oh shit, that's why I got into music, was because he didn't want any part of it. That's why I got into acting, because he didn't want any part
The
of it.
rebellion side of you?
Yeah, because I just didn't want the confrontation. But I would go sneak off and go to different gyms and fight without him knowing. And he would have been pissed off if he knew that I was going to other gyms without him. He would probably have disowned me. That's how tight he was. He wanted me to be a champ type thing. But it was just too traumatic for me and for both of us.
Was there a robust boxing scene in Winnipeg?
Yeah, there was a lot of great Canadian champions were coming out of there and going to the Olympics. It was like it was just before or around the same time of Lennox Lewis and the Canadian team that were kind of pretty well dominating. So the Olympic boxing scene in Canada and in Winnipeg were pretty good, pretty solid for sure.
It was also a big wrestling area too. A lot of professional wrestlers came out of
Chris Jericho.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of professional wrestlers.
You say 3 generations. Was your grandfather on your dad's side? So did it stay on the same side of the family?
Yeah. It was my grandfather, my uncle, my dad. They were all former champions in Yugoslavia. And then, so for me, when I got away from, like, my band would hate when I went boxing, because if I broke my hand, then we can't play. So I would sneak off. And just go boxing without them knowing, because I still loved it in my life, and to this day I love it in my life. And to this day, and it actually brought my dad and I closer, because my dad was really going through a tough time and didn't have anything going on. He was retired. And I just went to the gym in Winnipeg and I said, look, I'm going to bring my dad in, pretend you don't even know me. And I'm just coming in because I want to box here and I want my dad to be here. So they pretended not to know me. I brought my dad, introduced them to these guys, and my dad stayed there for over 30 years training kids and being a part of the boxing team. So it gave him a new set of life. So it was good.
So in a way, it was like, so boxing kind of pushed you guys away in the early going from each other because you wanted to go off to your own gym, and then brought you back together.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Yeah.
You used to have to sneak away from your bandmates to go. What was the thing that always pulled you? Like I think to myself, maybe like a group of people wanted to go out to dance and stuff like that, but like when you're able to get to a certain level and you're able to spar and stuff like that, it does feel like that. I'm going out and it feels good to just dance. And it's like, I don't know if is that the same for you, or?
Dude, it's exactly the same. Like, to me, sparring and meeting people, and I'm very much, I'm not crazy about the hard sparring like it's a fight. I love the idea of just let's if you get caught, you get caught, but there's no intention behind it except we're sparring and learning the craft against each other.
Yeah.
So for me, because I did well in my amateur career because I'm 6'5", but I also had a lot of speed because I didn't want to put a lot of power behind it, because my dad always said, you have the power, get the speed. And so once I really worked on the speed, the power was there. So for me in the gym, it was all about, the puzzle and the spar. And like you said, it's the dance. And that fed me, man. Like that fed me so much. And you get out of there and you feel like you're alive. You just want to be hit. And it has nothing to do with aggression. It has to do with the science and the chess pieces of it. I never fought out of aggression.
I have a question for any one of three of you. But it seems to me like boxing is similar to golf in this way. It's like 5 games in one. It's 5, like you've got to learn so many different parts to actually be successful.
I'll speak to it from my noob standpoints, is that the biggest opponent that I face in this early part of my journey is myself. Because before I was doing this, I was sitting on my ass a lot, and I needed to lose weight. I needed to get back into shape. And on those days when you don't feel like going through the last part of your training, you got to kick your own ass to get through it. You're your own opponent sometimes.
So it's all the time. All the time. You're all the time fighting yourself. Like the other guy across from you, all of a sudden you feel like, oh my God, this guy's skill is way bigger than I thought. Or he's way bigger than I thought he was at the weigh-in. You have all these thoughts in your head, but it doesn't change the fact that when you go in there, how do you how do you adjust? And I think that's with life. How do you adjust in the ring? Okay, so my strength is going forward. This guy is coming forward towards me. Let me see how I can counter. Oh, he's not used to counters. This is great. Or, you know what? If I push the bully back and he doesn't know how to fight off his back foot. Oh, okay. So all these thoughts have to be, and the only way these thoughts are in your head is if you just chill and you just relax.
That's what Sailor's trying to bring to me, because I fight very tight right now, and then I get exhausted real quick because my body's all tensed up.
Yeah, man, and that doesn't serve you. Like when you find that moment, and Sailor, you know this, when you find that moment when you do take that breath and relax with a guy in sparring, and you realize you're seeing more clear, your reactions are more smooth. Yep. It's the most amazing feeling when you're like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about getting hit. I can just do the thing and just know you are gonna hit. No one never ever gets hit. You're gonna get hit, but if you're getting hit tight, you're gonna get hurt more. If you get hit loose, you're gonna roll. So it's one of those things. It's one of those things that you have to go through. You can't be told. Like everything that he's teaching you in the ring is. You have to go through the motions for your body to accept it. Yeah. You can't just be told. So being told in the gym and you know, you put your hand back up. Like for me, I love keeping my hands up, but then there's moments where you just got to get loose when you're out of range, and then you come back into range, and then you slowly get your hands up and you're moving. But if you're like this, you're so tight and you're gonna gas. It's the craziest feeling, but you got to go through it to understand.
Well, it seems like the last piece, like everything else. I mean, just being a musician, you know this as well. You know, and being an actor, you know this as well. It's just the last piece. You know, you're where all of a sudden you're able to do the same thing with the same level of skill, but there's a relaxation to it. It just always feels like the last piece of all of it.
Yeah, Sayla, you know, like if you're gonna fight a 12-round fight, you're gonna have to spar 1,200 rounds to be prepared for a 12-round fight. And even at that time,
that's exhausting.
You see those elite guys gassed at the end of a fight. It's not because they didn't train. They trained for 1,200 rounds for 3 months, and they're still gassed. That's how tough, that's how much you pour into it.
The feeling and the numbers themselves, when you think about the average like human sprint, which is like between 20 and 30 seconds. In most cases, like these people are sprinting for 3 minutes, which is like well beyond the average human. So it's like when you multiply that by 12, you have to put in the work. Like, and it's tough because like our mind might want to do something, but it's like your body needs to be able to keep up with your mind. And if your body can't keep up with your mind, you're not gonna be able to do what you want to do, and then you get tense, and then it spirals.
And the best thing of that is when you see boxers get in there when they shouldn't get in there anymore, when they get older, because their brains think they can still do the thing that they did 20 years ago. And so you get these 40-year-old fighters and they get old overnight. Well, they didn't. Their brain is finally telling them, okay, my body can't do what my brain used to do. And the only way to find that out is in the fight. And I think Lennox Lewis was one of those guys when he fought Klitschko. I think Klitschko was his big one where he just kind of went, okay, I think I'm done. Not done because I don't want to fight Klitschko. Done because I've surpassed everything that I need to do. Why do I have to do this anymore? I'm ending on the top. Right. But Klitschko is probably the guy that goes, I saw so many openings and I couldn't get to them. And I'm older and I think this is my time. And then you get other guys that go, I know I still got it. And then their brains don't catch up, their bodies don't catch up to their brains, and they can't do it anymore.
Sayla brought up that dance, the idea of sparring. It's got to be similar in acting, especially in theater, Alex. When it's just you and one other person out there acting, does it feel like a dance then as well?
Absolutely, and timing wise, because now you're sitting there going, what boxing's taught me in acting is it taught me that the stage is the ring. And you can either fight in the middle of it, but you might get pushed to the ropes. Now, how do you fight off the ropes? Now you get pushed in the corner. How do you fight off the corner? And thank God no one's punching me on stage. but it's the same thing of going, oh, okay, so this is the dance. We're gonna go here. I'm gonna retreat during this dialogue because I feel like if I retreat during this dialogue, when I say this next piece, it's gonna be even more impactful. But if I stay right here and kind of jaw with them, I didn't do the script analysis to understand that when I become aggressive, it doesn't work anymore because I haven't shown the retreat. So you have to understand the dynamics and the way the stage is set. It's the same with boxing. You can lure a guy in because you realize, okay, he's not as fast as I thought. So I can see these punches come in. And so I'll go on my back foot and I know I can counter them. And that counter is going to be more effective because I've come back a little bit and I've set the trap. So it's the same for me. I'm so fortunate that I love boxing and I'm a historian of boxing and I study it. And then to be able to put that into my job is something that I feel very lucky about.
Yeah, I saw that. It was I binged the first two seasons of Van Helsing. I didn't really catch when the next season came out, but so I just watched some clips and I saw the clip from season 4 when you were with Victoria and you were in the church and you're starting to do that fight scene and like with the acting and the action sequence itself. It was like you go from like this really gentle older brother fatherly figure type of situation, and it's like, well, like it's like you want to show your boxer what it feels like to get in the ring, and you flip that switch and you turn into that the monster that
Yeah.
comes out. And then it's funny because when she took up the spear and she started like thrusting at your head, I was like, oh, he has a slip. And it was like, I was like,
What's so great about that scene is that when they wrote it, and they wrote a great scene, and I always talked and I talked to the stunt guy, I was like, there's some moves in here we can do boxing wise, and even the dialogue of what I say about the relaxation, it's like you can't be all angry, and and she's doing all this stuff. That's us just jamming on the idea and bringing a little bit of boxing. And
oh, that's so
to
cool.
go back to Van Helsing, so I start off the first couple seasons as this really bad, mean vampire, which is super fun to do. And they saw, we just got along so great off camera with the creators and the writers, and they were like, okay, I think we should turn him human. So that in the show you can be turned human, but you remember everything that you did as a vampire. So I have this retribution journey. But they also wrote in my origin story. My origin story was the older vampires saw me in a boxing match because they knew I boxed. So it's this great episode. The only thing I hated about it was I get knocked out and beat the shit out of. But I was like, can you let me win one fight here? He goes, no, sorry. This is why he picks you, because you don't stop. You keep on going forward no matter how much you get beat up, and that's why he picked you. I went, okay, fine. But they wrote the boxing aspect in it because I love boxing, and I'm to the point where I talked about it so much where they're like, fucking, let's get in boxing.
Well, I'd just like to point out, too, that as a noob into this world, and for those people who maybe wanted to do this and are afraid to take the step, my biggest experience so far, in terms of a positive, is what a community a gym is and the people inside the gym. And it really is a warm and accepting place. And anybody who has those nerves to say, I'm not going to step through the door for the first time, they should give it a try, because even if it's not the right one for them, there's a gym out there where it is a community.
And I feel like, Selah, you're the type of guy that really kind of gives back to the fighters, as opposed to the old school, like, the Mickey, get the hell out of here if you don't want to fight. Like, I feel like you're a nurturer, and I can totally see your sparring sessions being chill and everyone learn. Just by your energy, I could totally see you being that dude, which is kind of cool.
Thank you for saying that.
Now, what a feeling is it when you walk out of your gym and you have a good session? That's one of those, you go to sleep with a smile.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have a good session, you go and you walk out, and then you get frustrated with yourself. And then if you have the wherewithal to just go, okay, so what happened today? Why was I so lethargic? Why was I not on point? Oh yeah, I ate that big pizza before training. That's why. Okay, I got to get smarter with that. So it's one of those checks. Like, people love to meditate. I love to meditate, but to me, boxing is that thing where I leave the gym, I feel it afterwards, and how could I be better, and what am I proud of, as opposed to always, being upset with something that you didn't get right. Get some stuff that you're proud of that you can also work on and kind of empower you.
Well, and to piggyback on that too, Alex, is like the day you don't go to the gym, I feel it more than when I do go to the gym. Like my body just tenses up and the muscles are like, hey, you're supposed to be out there working. Why are you sitting on your ass today?
You're so on point, man. Like your body, there's a reason why it's so addictive, and you see it. It's the oldest sport in the world, physical contact. The oldest sport. Like, I love UFC. I watch it all the time. I'm a huge fan. But there's something about two guys with just hands, no other discipline, just hands, and the brain, and going, oh, it's me again. It's what I know against what you know, and my will against your will. But at the end of the day, it's what can I do to be, however I'm challenged, can I accept that challenge and move forward and get through it? And you don't even have to win the fight. You could just make it through the fight, and it can be one of the best learning experiences that you've ever had. So it's you're gonna get hit, and in life you're gonna get hit. It's how you react.
So Alex, we have a listener question.
Okay.
The listener is Mandy K, and Mandy wants to know: you've played 3 characters on the Supernatural, but the most memorable is wrestler Gunnar Lawless.
Yep.
How has that show's fan base impacted you and your career?
Great question. So that was one of my first gigs. Like those guys, Jared and Jensen, who are the leads of Supernatural, those guys really showed me that. Like when I've worked on shows before, I've worked with some pricks, which I never understood. So for me, it was one of those things where, I've worked with some guys that weren't very welcoming. And when you come into a new set, it's like first day at a new school. Like you're kind of like this, and you're just walking around, and then somebody talks to you, you light up, and you're like, oh, okay, great. It's the same thing on set. And when the lead character and the guy that runs the show is not giving you anything, not even welcoming you, you kind of just want to do your job. I want to do my job, and I want to get out of here. Jared and Jensen were the guys that came in, and I just was basically starting in the first episode, and they're like, "You're Alex, right?" Yeah. I goes, "Oh man, welcome to the show," which just opens you up, and not only opens you up and relaxes you, but makes you feel even more creative, so you can play. And I love that. I'm that type of guy. And when I saw that, I went, "Oh my God, I could totally be a lead of a show or be a part of a show, because that's how I want to be." So you can't wait doing these little, guest stars to like recurring characters, and all of a sudden you're a part of a show, and you get to welcome these people because they will give you the best of themselves for the show. It's all a team effort.
Well, and what's great is that people learn from the top down. So if they're acting like that, then everybody underneath them is going to carry that energy.
Trickles down. So I got onto the show, and then the second time I played a totally different character and got a bigger role, but I felt like I knew everybody, and it was so much fun. And then playing Gunnar Lawless, it was such a great role, and I was really fortunate to get that role. And that one for me was something that I could really expand from this tough wrestling guy to this retribution guy. And so I just learned so much from being on the show with those guys. And it was my favorite role, just because it actually checked me, because wrestling, when I was younger, I don't like wrestling because they're making a mockery out of the ring. The ring is meant for boxers, not for play like that. And I really understood the theater when I got to understand wrestling. I was like, oh my God, this is so physical, but it's acting. Yeah. It's a play.
And what's amazing is back in the old days, Alex, they could never break character on the street, in a restaurant, wherever. Right. They had to stay in character.
Right. But that idea to me of just going, this is so beautiful in a way of, I'm so comfortable in this ring that now I can play just like I play, with my acting career in the ring and making it real. So I really, really, I don't know if I answered the question, but I really, really enjoy playing that Gunner Lawless character.
Alex, before we jump, filling us in a little bit on Legend Water, where people can get their hands on it.
So yeah, there's 40,000 plastic bottles, single-use plastic bottles that get used in a 60-day shoot. And I've been doing this business for a while, and I'm not preachy. I've drank from them.
Oh, wait, in a 60-day shoot, you said?
60 days, 40,000
Wow.
single-use bottles are used. And so I just wanted an alternative. And I got together with some great friends, and we just wanted an alternative on set. But we also not only, did we want the can to look really sexy and cool. Wait for it.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Ooh.
Isn't that nice?
Back to it. So it's called Legend, and it's spring water. And we just thought, just get rid of the plastic on set. But we also wanted the can to look kick-ass and cool and premium.
It does. Congratulations.
Thanks. Definitely different from Liquid Death, and was what we wanted to do, was go the other way and just kind of make it a cool looking can. And the legend in itself, everyone's a legend. You can make yourself a legend. You can be inspired by legends. So we really thought being a water in this can is something that would really kind of resonate with the community. And it's been going great. We launched 2 weeks ago, and there's some really big things happening with it. But my big thing was just to get it on set.
That's cool, yeah.
And then we have an initiative. There's when you see the can, there's a QR code, and it said Legends Supporting Legends. And what we did was, it goes to our homepage, but it also goes to a suicide crisis hotline. And it goes to rehab facilities within the provinces in Canada, and we'll be expanding that. But for me, it's one of those things, usually people, when they're in a bar, they're drinking a bottled water, and then people go, have a drink. It's like, no, I stopped drinking because they went through stuff. We wanted this to be like, no questions asked. You're drinking something cool. I'm not even going to ask you about it. But if someone's struggling or going through a moment like we all are, we all have something, 1 degree of separation. I mean, I went through a bout of depression when I was younger, and I've lost friends to suicide. I've lost friends to drugs and alcohol, and I've helped some friends get help. And it's not because it's all around me. Everyone goes through this. Everyone knows somebody like this. So if one person makes that call and they kind of get out of the funk, then that makes me happy. So we're going to be doing a lot of charity events also, just to bring awareness more than anything that you're not an island. There's other people out there. There's a community just like in boxing.
See, that's what I meant. He was able to articulate the experience, or the parallel experience, of being on stage to boxing, which I thought was really cool. And I apologize for my layman's golf comparison, but it just feels like you got to be able to have the speed. You got to work on the bag. You got to have your legs. You got to have offense, defense. You got to be able to dodge. What do you call it?
Roll and you weave and there's all this stuff. But the thing that's crazy is that when I went in there, I thought, okay, I know I'm going to be sore because I haven't been doing anything, but all the areas I thought were going to be sore is not what was sore. Like, I thought my shoulders would be sore, my arms would be sore, but really it's your hips and your legs, because that's where all the power is generated. That's where you're getting it. And boy, oh boy, he has Sela, who everybody met in this one. He has these calf killer workouts, and some days, it just feels like my legs are cement and I can't move.
He has these what?
Calf killer workouts.
Calf killer. I'm like, what's a calf killer? Where's my calf killer? Is it over here? Which bone is it? Calf killer workouts. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, because a lot of it is you're on your toes, moving around. It's a lot in the legs.
Yeah, all the power comes from down below, as they say.
Well, they also say it's the women that kill your legs. It's the women that kill your legs. But what a treat to talk to Alex. He was great.
And I do want to give a shout out, Mansfield Boxing Club in Norton, Massachusetts, not Mansfield.
I didn't say it was Mansfield. I said Norton on the cast.
It's because, you ready for this?
Yeah.
It's on Mansfield Ave. So see?
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
I thought Alex nailed Saleh, knows him 2 minutes through Zoom, and he's like, this is the kind of, that comes from experience, when you've dealt with trainers and boxers and gyms for as long as he has, you pick up a vibe. But it was amazing how he just nailed them right away. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening.
Music by Denny Nucci.
Produced and edited by the same two people you heard hosting this show, because they have no friends.